A 15-year-old girl named Donna lived with her father in a small house in the suburbs. Ever since her mother died, Donna had depended on her father for everything. They had a wonderful relationship and loved each other very much. One morning, Donna's father was leaving on a business trip. As they ate breakfast together, he told her that he would be home very late that night. With that, he kissed her on the forehead, grabbed his briefcase, and walked out the front door. Later that day, when Donna came home from school, she did some homework and watched some TV. By midnight, her father had still not returned, so she decided to go to bed. That night, she had a dream. She found herself standing at the edge of a busy highway. Cars and trucks whizzed by at an alarming rate. She looked across the highway and saw a familiar figure standing on the other side. It was her father. His hands were cupped around his mouth and he seemed to be shouting something to her, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. As the traffic whizzed by, she strained to hear. Her father's eyes were sad. He seemed to be desperately trying to communicate something to her. She could barely make out the words, "Don't open door." Suddenly, Donna was awoken from the dream by a strange tapping noise. Tap, tap, tap. Then somebody began to ring the doorbell downstairs. Ring, ring. She scrambled out of bed and put on her slippers. Then, dressed only in her nightgown, she ran downstairs and went to the front door. Looking through the peephole, she saw her father's face outside. He was staring right at her. The doorbell kept ringing insistently. "Okay, hold on, I'm coming," she shouted. She pulled back the deadbolt and was about to unlatch the door when she stopped. She looked through the peephole at her father again. Something about his expression didn't look quite right. His eyes were wide open. He looked terrified. She slid the deadbolt back into place. "Dad!" she yelled through the door. "Did you forget your keys?" Ring, ring. "Dad, answer me." Ring, ring, ring. "Dad, please. I need you to answer me." Ring, ring, ring. "Is there someone else out there with you?" Ring, ring, ring. "Why won't you answer me?" Ring, ring. "I'm not opening the door until you say something." The doorbell kept ringing and ringing, but for some reason, her father refused to answer her desperate cries. For the rest of the night, the frightened girl cowered in a corner of the hallway, helplessly listening to the ceaseless ringing of the doorbell. It seemed to go on for hours. Eventually, she fell into an uneasy sleep. At dawn, she woke up and realized that everything was quiet. She crept over to the door and looked through the peephole again. Her father was still there, staring at her. She cautiously opened the door and was confronted with a sight that filled her with unimaginable horror. Her father's severed head was hanging from a nail above the door. There was a note attached to the doorbell. In crude, scrawled handwriting, it read, "Clever girl." April 4th. Yesterday, I got an email from my ex-girlfriend, Becky. She got married last year. She said she needed help, that I was the only one she could turn to. Something was wrong with her husband, John. She said he'd become obsessed with tidying things. Everything had to be clean, disinfected, arranged in perfect piles. He aligned everything, books, magazines, furniture, until it was absolutely straight. It sounded like some kind of compulsion. He'd alphabetized every book on the shelves, stacked the magazines on the coffee table so they were perfectly aligned with the edge. Whenever she asked why, he just ignored her. One day, she caught him cleaning out the kitchen drawers, lining up the cutlery and counting it, making sure each drawer had a precise number of utensils. When she demanded to know what he was doing, he exploded in anger. Then, last night, Becky said she woke up and John wasn't in bed. She went downstairs and found him tearing through the bookcase, pulling books out, rearranging and counting them, whispering numbers to himself like a madman. "What are you doing?" she shouted. "There are exactly 75 books on this bookcase," he said. "That's 3 times 25, which is 3 times 5 times 5. It likes fives. Fives are what attract it." She was horrified. "What likes fives?" she asked. "The long face," he hissed, and went back to arranging the books. She tried to calm him, but he shoved her to the floor. This bookcase needs 49 books, he muttered. Exactly 49. That's 7 times 7. It doesn't like sevens. It likes fives. I'm going to have to teach you. Becky said she ran out of the house terrified. Now she's staying with a friend. She begged me to come see her. April 5th. When I went to see Becky, she threw her arms around me and burst into tears. I comforted her until she calmed down. Then she asked if I'd go back to her house with her. She wanted to check on John. When we got there, we found 7 neat piles of books stacked on the doorstep. That made my skin crawl. I told her I'd go in first. Inside, the house was spotless. Too spotless, nothing out of place. It didn't feel lived in, just sterile and wrong. We searched every room, but John was nowhere to be found. Then, in the bathroom, I saw a trail of blood leading to the tub. John was there, lying in it, wrists slit, blood everywhere. Becky nearly fainted. I had to hold her back. We called the police. While we waited, I noticed something. A small notebook clutched in John's hand. I don't know why, but when Becky wasn't looking, I took it. April 6th. I read John's diary. It's insane, the ravings of a lunatic, but it explains everything. The pages are filled with ramblings about something he called the long face. He never really described it, but he had rules for dealing with it. According to him, it likes multiples of 5 and hates 7s. Everything had to be arranged accordingly. Books, cutlery, everything. Otherwise, it would come. It's madness. But after reading it, I can't stop thinking about it. April 9th. I think I'm losing it too. Today I was looking at my bookshelf and noticed there were 5 books on one shelf. Immediately, I thought of the long face. The number made me uneasy. I laughed at myself and turned to leave. But then I saw something. In the corner, a bag was lying open. The handles looked like eyes. The zipper like a mouth. A face. I hurried back and rearranged the books so there were 7 on each shelf. When I looked again, the face was gone. Becky's doing better. She's still staying with a friend and refuses to go back to that house. I don't blame her. April 13th. It's getting worse. Everywhere I look, I see faces. In cars, in buildings, in clouds. Headlights become eyes, grills become mouths. Even in my coffee foam, I see them staring back. I've started counting things. Books, DVDs, cutlery, pens, coins. I can't stop. Everything has to be in multiples of 7. If I see a multiple of 5, the faces start to appear, angry, distorted, watching me. Even now, I can see one in my computer screen. The speakers are the eyes, the keyboard is the mouth. I know it's irrational, but I can't stop. I'm becoming obsessed. April 16th. It's getting out of control. The house is filthy, everything's in chaos. I have to clean, I must clean. I can't be safe unless everything is spotless, disinfected, tidy. April 17th. On my way to work this morning, I saw a face in the trees. It scared me half to death. The branches moved, and the face seemed to come closer. But I found a way to hold it back, counting. When I count, it gets confused. I just have to keep counting. That's the only thing keeping me safe. April 20th. Why did I ever read that cursed diary? The long face is everywhere. People can't see it because they don't know about it, but I do, and now I can't unsee it. Someone has to know how to fight it. Someone has to understand. April 22nd. I counted the pages in the diary. Exactly 125. That's 5 times 5 times 5. Maybe that's what's drawing it to me. But what if I miscounted? What if there were 126? A multiple of 7? That would be better. I've already counted 5 times. I'll count 7 times to make sure. Or maybe 77 times. Yes, that makes sense. April 27th. This has to end. I'm going to burn the diary. If no one else reads it, maybe this thing will die with it. Maybe if nobody else learns about the long face, it'll finally stop. Forget you ever read any of this. Forget you ever heard about the long face. But before you stop reading, let me give you one last piece of advice. I think it's attracted by another number too. In Mexico, there was a small town that had a population of less than 500. It was the kind of small town where everyone knew everyone else by name, and everybody knew everybody else's business. In this town, there lived two young boys who were twin brothers. Their mother never disciplined them, and the two boys were constantly misbehaving. Everyone in town knew of them, and they were nicknamed the Evil Twins because they were always the cause of everything bad that happened there. They were even suspected of killing some of the cats and dogs in the village, but the police could never prove it. One Sunday, an old man died in his home. While the priest and the undertaker were outside, waiting to transport the body to the cemetery, the twins peeked in the back window. When they saw the corpse, they immediately wanted to take a closer look. The twin boys didn't care about disturbing the dead, so they broke into the house and started playing around with the corpse. One of the boys moved its mouth like a puppet, while the other poked its eyes out with a stick. While they were playing, the twins heard footsteps. Afraid of getting caught, they put the corpse back in the coffin, but they couldn't find a place to hide. Just as the priest was opening the door, the boys jumped into the coffin with the dead body and closed the lid. The priest and the pallbearers carried the coffin to the cemetery, where the funeral was being held. They noticed that the coffin was heavier than usual, but never bothered to look inside. Nobody realized that the twins were missing until the coffin was being lowered into the grave. That's when the mother of the twin boys appeared at the cemetery and asked if anyone had seen her sons. The funeral was halted, and all the people began searching the area. Some of the men recalled the weight of the coffin when they had been carrying it and said that the boys might have hidden inside. The coffin was lifted out of the grave, and the men opened the lid. Inside, they found the twin boys lying on top of the dead man. The hands of the corpse were tight around their throats. They had both been strangled to death.